I have a confession to make. I'm a little obsessed with The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. Don't believe me? And along with having the books, I also have DVDs, Catching Fire calendar, and probably every magazine/movie guide that has existed for this franchise. It was my goal to reread the whole series before Mockingjay Part 2 came out, and I got through the first two, and then finals happened, and I ended up watching all 7 seasons of Parks and Rec. So I just finished this one recently. Again, this is the 2.5 time I've read it, because the second time I went to read it, I got to the part with the deaths, and I just couldn't do it. If you have come across this video and you have not read the Hunger Games trilogy or seen all of the movies, there are about to be spoilers. I forgot how much I love the Hunger Games trilogy going into it, and by the time I was ready to read the 3rd book, I was pretty pumped about it, even though I know what's coming. Katniss is supposed to become the Mockingjay for the rebellion, the symbol. They need her. But Katniss is understandably pretty beat up from the 2nd Hunger Games that she's just been in, the Quarter Quell. Peeta's gone. She didn't know anything about this rebellion. She feels torn because she never knew about this, nobody ever included her in the plans, and obviously Katniss would have wanted that. So she strikes up the deal. She's the Mockingjay. She wants the immunity for the victors, the ones who are in the Capitol, who knows what they're doing, like whether they give up information, or Peeta, he's being used. She wants them not to have any punishment once this war is over, if the rebels win. She also wants to hunt with Gale, and she wants her family to be able to keep Buttercup, even though she hates Buttercup, but it's for Prim. And she wants to kill Snow. And she says, I'll flip you for it. There were certain things that weren't in either of the movies, Mockingjay Part 1 or 2, and I mean, I understand that they couldn't put everything in. I really like the bow, though, that Katniss has that, like, wakes up in her hands. I always thought that was really cool, that it, like, only recognizes her. And Cinna leaves her the Mockingjay outfit, and including the pill, like the Nightlock pill, and she says Cinna's thought of everything, and he really did. I really liked Cinna as a character. So sad that he died. One of my favorite relationships in the book is Haymitch and Katniss, and the way they understand each other so well. She's always like, I can talk to him even though we're not even in the arena together. I know what he's saying through the gifts or through the things that he doesn't do and stuff like that. And I really liked seeing them have a hard time and, like, struggling, but they know that they're friends. They know they can trust each other, even though Katniss comes around slowly to trusting him again. But when they're talking and they're like, just go ahead and say it. She's like, I can't believe you didn't save Peeta. He's like, I can't believe you let him out of your sight. Haymitch doesn't cut her any slack, but at the same time, he is her mentor. Like, he does take care of her, kind of, because sometimes he's completely drunk. But I really like that mentor-pupil relationship that they have. And the moment when she's like, the only person I want to be comforted by is Haymitch, because he's the only one who loved Peeta too. And I do like the part at the hospital. I liked it in the movie too, when they're with the wounded and Katniss is just like, don't film me in there, I don't know, I can't help them, I don't know what to do. And they're like, just let them see you. And like how she's already the symbol of the rebellion. That's why they had to save her and not Peeta, because everybody looked at Katniss. And so when she's in the hospital and people see her and they just perk up, it's such like a heartening moment, and like Katniss is like, maybe I actually can do this. And then when they leave and all the bombers come in, I love in the movie that we get to see President Snow, like, dealing with all these Katniss situations, because in the books we're with Katniss 100% of the time, and we don't really see President Snow's train of thought, and I love seeing that in the movies, because he's like, let's show them what it means to be friends with Miss Katniss Everdeen, and then they send in the bombers. And in the book I was like, how did they know? But like, in the movie we actually get to see all that, and I really like that. I love seeing, in the movie too, when we have Katniss do that first propo, she just fails epically. She's not an actress. Everybody's like, she does better when she performs from the heart. And it was with the hospital, and when she's out in the woods, and Pollux like writes in the sand, sing, and she starts to sing the Mockingjay tune, I was like almost crying, because this time around reading it, I have the soundtrack. I can listen to the song while she's singing it. Like, the words are the same, except they did change it to Necklace of Hope instead of Necklace of Rope. because it was supposed to be more of a uplifting rebellion song as opposed to like, we're gonna go die. But like, I was so happy, like chills just running everywhere, because the movie, I love the movie so much because it feels, the song feels the way it should have been sung, that, you know, that kind of like country roots, but like, feeling in it. I love it. And then we come to the end of part 1 of the book, and PETA is on screen, and Katniss is so worried about him because he looks so sick. And he gets through that moment. Like, I think at this point they're already using the Tracker Jacker venom on him. And, but he, like, comes through just enough to be like, Katniss, they're coming. And it just ends with PETA's blood splattered on the floor. The scene with Prim going back to get the cat is just as intense in the movie as it is in the book. Every time I see it, I'm still like, oh my gosh, wondering if she's gonna make it. That's such a good scene. And I love that they brought Buttercup and Gale's there. I am not against Gale, I'm just for PETA. I don't know how else to describe that. Like, I do like Gale. I do think he's a smidgen annoying when he keeps trying to, like, figure out her romantic situation when they're in the middle of a war. But I'm not against Gale. I always had the joke with my friends, like, I'm 5% Team Gale because I really do like him. It's just, he is a little too brutal, and PETA is, like, the person we need, and he's just so sweet. So, but yeah, I really like seeing Gale, like, help take care of her family. Like, they are really close. One of my favorite parts of the book is seeing Prim grow up. We see her, is she 12 in the first book, but we understand she's very young. And then Katniss has this conversation with her where she's talking about, do you think they're gonna kill PETA? And Prim is brutally honest. And she's a smart girl. She says, President Snow is not going to kill PETA because that would lose his hold on you. He knows that torturing PETA is killing you on the inside. If he kills PETA, he'll have no leverage over you. And Katniss realizes, like, that's 100% true. If he was dead, I'd be free. And even though she'd be super sad about it, that is something she could throw herself into. But if PETA is still there, she can't 100% want everything with the rebellion because she wants PETA. And they're doing the same thing to Finnick with Annie, which is really sad. He keeps playing with the knot, and then he gives it to Katniss, and he's like, you just have to keep your mind off it. Like, they're going through torture, and it's so sad. They play Crazy Cat, the game with the flashlight. I've always liked that scene. They come above ground to do the propose, and there's the white flowers in the ditch where they were just bombed, and Haymitch comes and just hugs her. Like, that scene in the movie made me cry. And it's really sad to read in the book because you know how much she's hurting. We have the scene where 13 is going to go try and get PETA out of the Capitol, this rescue mission. And Katniss is like, who went? Let me go, let me go. And Haymitch is like, they're already gone. And then Katniss is like, who went? And Haymitch says 7 and he doesn't say names. And Katniss knows who went. Like, Gale is gone, and then she has that breakdown where I'm gonna lose them both. The scene in the movie, Jennifer Lawrence is not afraid to show, like, real fear. She's not trying to look pretty. She loses it. She's like, I'm gonna lose them both. I love them both. Oh! They broadcast Finnick to, like, clog up the airways, and he's telling all the secrets about Snow. That's terrifying. Like, you find out the things that he's done, the people he's shut up over the years with poison. And that, like, the first time I read that, and then Katniss said the perfect weapon for a snake is poison, like, that's intense. That's a solid moment right there. And you realize that's why he has the blood in his mouth, and that's why he wears those flowers that smell so strongly, capital strong, because he's trying to hide that scent. That's creepy. President Snow is one of the creepiest villains. He seems so poised. He reminds me a little bit of Valentine from the Mortal Instruments series because he's so polished, but at the same time, like, he is creepy and twisted. And they come back, and PETA's there, and he, like, I mean, we've all seen the scene, he chokes Katniss. It was terrifying because she goes to hug him, and he just goes straight for her neck. And then, remember in the movie, that cut off, that was immediately, I was just like, that was it. I knew that was going to be it. It was either his eyes were going to, like, dilate, or he was going to go for the chokehold. I was surprised we even saw it. I just thought we were going to have him rushing towards the camera, and then that's where it's going to cut off. But we had when she woke up in the hospital, too, and realized that he'd been hijacked. And she walks and she sees him just thrashing around and realizes that's not the boy I knew. Like, that is no one I've ever met before. And things from Mockingjay Part 2, they're a little different than from the book, but not anything that I would complain about, really. I mean, Deli Cartwright is her name. I think her last name's Cartwright. She goes in, she's the one to talk to Peeta instead of Prim, but really I don't think that matters very much. We see Deli like twice ever. And so she tries to tell Peeta that, you know, Katniss is a good person. People loved her back in 12, which Katniss is like, she's kind of lying a little bit, but I can take all the bolstering I can get. And then Peeta continually, he's just like, don't trust her, don't trust her. And we hear him like yelling, like, she's a mutt. That would kill to hear someone you love say that about you. And she can't stay there, she needs to get out. So she goes to 2. And they're like having that meeting of how to take over the Nut, which is like that mountain with all the weapons inside in District 2, because that's the last district they need. My cat's trying to get in. Oh, he's such a cute baby. I'm gonna go sit on the bed. And that's when we see Gale's darker side, when he's like, it's just like a den of wild dogs, you just have to flush them out or you trap them inside. And Katniss is like, how many people are we gonna kill? And Gale's talking about, like, you know, President Snow doesn't play by these rules, why should we? And I mean, it makes sense on both sides. That's the really hard thing, is because they are in a war, and Gale's like, we have to take this district, but Katniss doesn't want to kill anyone. And you're more on Katniss' side, because she's been through so much at this point. But they do this anyway. They leave the tunnel open, which was, I thought, a pretty good medium. And they left it open, and Katniss makes that speech, like, quit killing for him, I am done being Snow's slave. And I forgot about, when I saw the movie the first time, I hadn't reread that section yet, and I forgot that she got shot. She's just delivered this, like, intense speech with a gun at her head. She's so brave. Like, even after everything she's gone through, she is brave. And she just talks, and she's like, that's why I killed Cato, and he killed Thresh, and he killed Chloe, and she tried to kill me. Like, that part is intense. She's like, nobody wins except for Snow. And I thought that she had gotten them until she gets shot, which I was almost glad that I hadn't finished rereading Mockingjay before I saw the movie, because those moments I wasn't really expecting them, because I forgot little things like that. I loved Joanna's character. When Katniss wakes up, Joanna's stealing her Morphling. She's like, they're taking me off of it. I love Joanna in the movie. She's hilarious. And we didn't get to really see their friendship that much. We got to see Joanna covering for her in the movie to get out of the District 13, but when we see them training together and Joanna struggling, I really liked seeing her character in that way, like the two of them becoming battle buddies and trying to pass. When Joanna didn't pass that street trial, I felt so bad for her, because I know she wants to get out there and just kill. Like, she is deadly. Like, so is Katniss, but Joanna is deadly. She scares me a little bit more. Katniss goes in to talk to Peeta, and he's like, well, you're a piece of work, and he just insults her, and Katniss kind of fights back a little bit, but she walks out, and she's like, he can finally see me for who I am. Like, beforehand, hello, hello, oh. She feels like he can finally see her as she is, because he's not clouded by his love for her. She's like, I'm manipulative, deadly, I'm not a good person. That kind of hurts. We end, like, Katniss does pass the street test, which I really liked that, because she hears the order, like, drop, and she's like, no, I have a clear shot. And she's like, that's what they're testing me on, if I can follow orders. So she falls, and somebody else takes out the Peacekeeper. And so I like that she passed it. Joanna didn't. Katniss makes her that little bundle of pine so that Joanna has something to put in her drawer, because Joanna doesn't have anything. And she's like, it smells like home, and she's about to cry, and she's like, Katniss, you have to kill Snow. Part 3. Peeta has just shown up to the camp with Squad 451, and Katniss she knows now, Coin's trying to kill her. And she has that conversation with Boggs about why does she want me dead, and she realizes I'm now more valuable to Coin dead than I am alive. Boggs is like, Coin will consider you her enemy unless you are 100% behind her. And everybody knows Katniss isn't. She's barely been able to make peace with being with Coin's side. But Boggs is a good person. He's a good commander, and he's like, I'm not gonna let you die. This is not how you're gonna end up. She's like, why are you doing this? Boggs says, I intend to let you see that you have a long life. You've earned it. And she has. And Peeta he's kind of breaking a little bit. I don't know what's real. Who can I even trust? And Finnick's like, just ask us. And they have that moment about the favorite colors, and he's like, your favorite color's green, right? She's like, yes, it is. She's having a hard time opening back up to him, which is totally understandable. Like, he hates her. And then she just starts to tell him, like, things about himself. You're a painter, you're a baker, you do this. And she knows all those little tiny things about him because she does love him, and she didn't realize that for a really long time. We see Boggs die, like, he gets blown up and he transfers the hollow to Katniss. And then Katniss makes up this thing. She's like, yeah, Coin sent me on an assassination mission. And the second in command, Jackson, is not believing it, and everybody's like, yeah, we knew about this too. They did such a good job in the movie of doing these monsters underground when they have to go under because there's no way we can make it through the streets. And there's like the little things, and then Peeta's asleep, but he's like kind of connected with the mutts. And he's just like, Katniss. And they all wake up, and there's those things. Those were done so well. I had a weird picture in my brain, and now being able to see them was very helpful. And we lose Finnick. Going into the movie, did anybody else hear the rumor that Finnick was gonna make it? Like, their wedding, I loved the wedding scene. And when I watched, I was fully convinced Finnick was gonna make it. And like, we're down in the thing, and like, I'm nervous, but I'm like 100% sure in my theory, Finnick isn't dying. I thought it was gonna be Gale, because books can, I feel, end up with a little more of a vague sense of ending, but movies, I think, usually need to be tied up really well. So I was like, well, I mean, if we kill off the other love interest, that really does end that confusion. And later I realized, like, then they wouldn't have had that moment where they're, like, talking to each other, Peeta and Gale, and I really like that scene. But I didn't think Finnick was gonna die, and the minute he threw the trident, I just, like, started crying in the theater. I was like, no! Like, why? Why did we have to do this? I thought he was gonna make it. So, like, even though I knew it was coming, it was still a shock. And in the book it says, like, those monsters even smelled like Snow's roses. Oof. They go to stay with Tigress, and Katniss is pretending to be asleep. She hears Peeta and Gale talking, and they're having, like, just a bro conversation. And they're talking about Katniss. They both agree Katniss is going to pick the one she can't survive without, or she's going to pick the one who survives. Like, Gale's like, I doubt the three of us are going to make it. What are the odds of all three of us surviving? And if we do, Katniss just has to pick. And Katniss, like, am I that cold that they don't even think about that I love them? Like, she's like, it's just who will help me survive. And then she's like, am I really like that? And Katniss isn't. Like, she shows love in her own way. She is more of a like, inward, like, kind of colder person, but it's not like she doesn't love people. And I think the boys knew that, but her hearing that was kind of difficult. We go out for the battle. That's intense. Like, the 2x2, and then Peeta is behind them. And, they all know, like, they're covering their faces so that people don't recognize them. And they're walking towards President Snow's house. And then there's the bombs, and some of the pods start going off, and Gale gets captured. And then she realizes later, like, Gale was, like, yelling something at her, and she realizes later that he had said, shoot me. She feels like she's failed him, but she couldn't do it. Like, even if she had hurt him, like, there was no way she was going to be able to kill him because she does love him. Then there's the scene with the bombs, and then that secondary bomb going off. And Katniss sees Prim, and Prim just barely says her name, and then it explodes. And I cried so much. And it's just because Prim is the reason Katniss went into the Hunger Games, the reason she is the symbol of the rebellion. Like, it all comes back to Prim, even though not directly. And Prim dies, and that, I mean, Katniss just, she is done. She's like, I'm on fire. I can't move. She's like, I'm so tired. And she talks to Snow and realizes it may not have been the Capitol's parachute. She's like, why would you kill the Capitol's children? He's like, that wasn't my hovercraft. We only had one left. You destroyed the rest of them. Why do you think we would kill our own children? He's like, obviously I'm not above it. I do it for the Hunger Games, but that was wasteful. And Katniss realizes that was very possibly Gale's explosive device that he made with BT. Like, it has the mentality of, like, bringing the others in just in time to destroy them too. And Coin did it. I think what happened, I was kind of confused the first time I read this, but as I understand it, Coin did that because it had the Capitol seal on it. So that would be the last thing to tip the Capitol people over. They're like, Snow killed our own children after he used them as body shields, and that was going to be it. Like, the Capitol people come across heartless, but they just don't understand. I don't think they're less human. They were raised to believe differently from the districts. But, I mean, take anyone's kids and they're gonna retaliate. So the war's over and Coin did this and she sacrificed Prim. And maybe she did or didn't know it, but I mean, oh my gosh. Like, if she put Prim in there, like, Prim wasn't supposed to be out there. So if she got authorized to go in to save these people, then Coin did that to draw Katniss in to also kill Katniss? Wait, did they tell us that in the book? Where did I get this idea from? Oh my gosh, if that's true. Oh. Coin is just a different kind of evil. She is like Snow in many ways. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it does say that. Wait, did Coin do it hoping that losing Prim would push me completely over the edge, or at least firmly on her side? Katniss just doesn't know who to believe at this point. But I think she knows, like, Coin did that. That was Coin's order to kill her sister. There's no way she's gonna back Coin now. They decide on another Hunger Games. I think just Katniss had just lost it, and she just, I don't know, I want to say she was out for blood, even though I know she doesn't want anyone else to die. But, I mean, that would push me over the edge, too, for a Hunger Games. Yeah, she says she votes yes for Prim, and then she goes to kill Snow and shoots Coin. I'm happy. The people trample Snow, like, nobody even cares. They're done. They go and rip them apart. We have this commander. Katniss goes, like, she knows she's probably not going to get a pardon for this. So she goes to, like, eat the pill, and then Peeta puts his hand over the pill and, like, takes it. Like, he's still, like, he has that one last, like, he knows he needs to protect her. And I like that scene, like, he didn't let her do it. She starts screaming for Gale to kill her. Katniss's trial is over, and they go back to 12, and Haymitch takes her. She's like, well, why are you going back? And it's because he's her mentor. Like, again, I love that relationship. I mean, it's not like he's going to be able to take care of her. He's going home. He's going to get drunk. Like, he has this whole new wave of terrible things that have happened to him, and he wants to go. And just, he wants to drown it out. Little piece of me was happy in Mockingjay Part 2. When Haymitch and Effie have that little kiss, I kind of always had hope for it just a little bit. I never thought it would work, but like seeing it in the movie, I was like, okay, that's like a little piece of humor and joy. Hello. Just climbing on my shelves. That little piece, I was happy. I liked that. The scene I've cried the most at in probably all the Hunger Games movies was when she's yelling at Buttercup like she's not here, she's never coming back because she is dead. And that scene in the movie is really powerful too. And Peeta comes back and he's like planting the primrose outside of Katniss's house, and they have that moment. They kind of start to reconnect a little bit, and eventually, do you love me, real or not real? Real. Then obviously the epilogue. It's just the perfect amount of bittersweet. This is such a good wrap up where she has the kids, and Peeta, you see Peeta happy and like normal, and Katniss is like, I barely survive it, but I do every day, and I have to play the game in my head of just listing all the good things that people have done to remember there is good in this world, but there are much worse games to play. And that's the last line in the movie too. It was just so good, like book and movie. Like this, all the books, all the movies, I'm such a huge fan. I love them so much. It's just 6 out of 5 stars. Like that's how good this is for both the book and the movie. That's all I really have to say about this. All the fangirling, all the heartache. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye!